senseless violence that's taking place, not just in Palestine, but all over the world. And one of the things I wanted, first of all, I want to introduce the Congresswoman. Most of you, of course, know her, and you're here, obviously, because you do know her and love her. So let's show her the love that we have for her. Cori Bush is an American politician. She's a nurse, she's a pastor, and a Black Lives Matter activist serving as a U.S. representative from Missouri's 1st Congressional District since 2021. The district includes all the city of St. Louis and most of northern St. Louis County. She is also the first African American woman to represent Missouri. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for really representing. A lot of times I think representatives go, they really don't earn the name of being a representative. So thank you for really, truly being a representative of people. So we really appreciate you. I want to begin with something that's really kind of ominous and quite serious. There's a man on death row by the name of Marcellus Williams who is about to be executed tomorrow. And he's been found, there's some really compelling evidence that he is innocent. His trial was botched up and broke all kinds of constitutional rules, and yet the governor, who's a Republican governor, Parsons, is not budging on this. What efforts are there, and what are the chances of this innocent person being executed? The fact that we still have the death penalty is just disgusting. It's sickening. But the fact that we execute people that we think might be innocent is just gross. I don't know how else to put it. But what is being done about it? Have you contacted the governor?
So we have made pleas to the governor. We've made pleas to the AG. And let me start by saying, first of all, that I don't believe there should be a death penalty at all for anyone. And I am not. So I don't start with this person innocent, and then let that be the determination whether I'll put out the death penalty. I'm just against the death penalty across the board. And so for Marcellus Khalifa Williams, yes, like Andy said, is due to be executed on tomorrow. There were pleas not only from me, but people all across the country, organizations, elected officials, celebrities, have all spoken up saying, please stop this execution. So in 2001, he was convicted of stabbing a woman by the name of Felicia Gale. There's DNA evidence that was not reviewed at the time by the judge that potentially could have exonerated him. It was not reviewed. There was, like Andy said, it was this botched trial where there really weren't any black or any people of color on the jury. They actually removed them from the jury, from being on the jury, and it ended up being pretty much an all-white jury with one black person on it. And so he was convicted and sentenced to death. And so now, here we are. There is still this evidence that was finally reviewed in August of this year, and still he is set to be executed on tomorrow. The evidence at the scene prints, all kinds of evidence was not entered. And so that evidence could have helped. Also, like under her nails and all of that, what was found was not his DNA. And so anyway, even the family, this woman's family has asked the governor not to execute him. And they're still moving forward. The attorneys did, they did an appeal, and we just found out not long ago today that the Supreme Court in Missouri did not, they decided to move forward with the execution. So what we have now, our governor, we need our governor to stand up and actually stop this execution of this innocent person. And I mean, we haven't even gotten to the part of like, hey, he shouldn't even be in jail. We're first just trying to save his life. And so we need organizations. I know the folks in this room, so many organizations and groups and individuals, peace and justice folks right here in this room. You all have a voice. And so if you can use your platform in the next 24 hours, reach out to your networks and have everybody push. Even Flavor Flav today pushed it out. People are trying to bring awareness, but remember, we're talking about a Republican governor who has executed several people over the last in his time in office. So, we don't want this to be a political thing where it's, these Democrats are trying to tell me what to do, and so I'm going to puff out my chest and, not listen because they're Democrats. This is not a Democrat-Republican thing. This is a thing. It's human life and human rights, and it's also, it's just the right thing to do.
I would suggest going to the Innocence Project, which is really an important website that outlines a lot of. If you go toward the bathroom where the bookstore is, there are some big photographs that are quite large above the bookshelves. And they look like people that are authors. Most of the time people assume they're authors, but they're people that are on death row. And it's always interesting to be able to, please take a look at that if you so choose to do. And don't forget, there's 22 hours left of this man's life. There's been over 200 people that have been killed. The Innocence Project has unearthed 200 people that have been killed that were found innocent. There's more. So let's talk about AIPAC. For some reason I say correlation. I don't know how that works, but I say it. But let's talk a little bit about the election that we had to go through. And I think for most of us, it was a gut punch. Really, I think all of us felt that horrible thing that I think at some point we started realizing that's about to happen because of the millions and millions and millions of dollars that they poured into this campaign. Obviously it must have been really, really good because they were scared shitless having you in Congress, having your voice in there. Being the first person to call for a ceasefire and put out a ceasefire resolution. The first person to ask for that, and it took months for others to call for it but do nothing about it. But I want to be able to ask you about that election. Tell us a little bit more about the experience. Where do we go from here?
So, with my election, with my primary, so many things were happening at the same time. One, there was this effort early on, right after I introduced with Rashida Tlaib the Ceasefire Now resolution. There was this effort to smear me and discredit me and ruin my reputation, not just in a national way, where it kind of misses you locally, but really, really locally. They use all kinds of tactics, campaign finance, and who's her husband this, and all of that, and just, and just lie after lie. But understanding that oftentimes people will attach to what will resonate with people is that thing that's sensational, and so, and what I noticed that was like, yeah, some of the folks are like, well, I don't know, maybe that really is true. And so we started to notice this shift because it just was, people were just hit over and over again with this misinformation and these lies. So because of that, we had to, what I would usually start off with is my campaign team. We couldn't ramp up the way we would normally ramp up because now we have lawyer fees because we have to deal with this pretty bogus, legal crap. But we had to deal with it. And so now what would normally be a good campaign team was stretched. So it pushed back the time that we would normally have to really, really ramp up. And then also during that time, we were faced with, hey, you have this person running against you that is going to be better because you are anti-Semitic. And because you're anti-Semitic, you are causing division, not only in St. Louis, but across the world. So then there was this other thing where I had to explain myself, like, no, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm just for all human beings. I'm for humanity. I'm for peace for everyone. So then we had to spend time making sure people understood I'm not anti-Semitic. So then so it was just so many things happening at the same time. And so once AIPAC came in and they started to spend money, this was the thing that really pissed me off. If you are right, then you shouldn't have to lie. If you are right, if you're doing the right thing, you don't have to lie. You should be able to run on who you are, what you plan to do, how we're different. But instead, AIPAC ran this person on lies, distortions of the truth, and put millions, it was a multi-million dollar, I just call it multi-million dollar lies. That's what it was. And to hit me with, well, pretty much she hates Joe Biden type deal. It was, she wants kids to drink dirty water from lead pipes. Just over and over, it was just all of these lies. But because so many millions went on television, the money that we were spending, it barely touched the surface. Now, normally, it would have been what wins elections. To give you an idea, when I unseated a 52-year family dynasty, a 52-year machine, the dad had the seat for 32 years, the son had the seat for 20. When I unseated that family dynasty, I did it with $1.4 million. And I won with over 3,000 votes. This race, they spent millions, I don't know, it's varying numbers, I don't know the true numbers right now. I think the last thing I saw was about 15 million. He won by 6,800 votes.
Wow. And
How much did you spend?
About 4 million. We spent about 4 million. And so that would have been enough to win over and over again. But it took a lot of money to spread the lies. The thing is this though, not only did they spread lies, they made a public call to Republicans asking them to please not vote Republican in the primary, vote Democrat so that they could help to close that gap. And it asked independents to do the same. There were even elected officials in my state who also put out emails saying, would you please not vote Not vote Republican, vote Democrat. Also, let me say this. There were other folks who donated to AIPAC. Big real estate were upset with me from the eviction moratorium when we staged the protest to get an extension of the eviction moratorium in 2021. When 11 million people were going to be at risk for evictions, big real estate never forgot that. And so they decided this is our moment, and so they put money into AIPAC as well.
Well, that's what put you on the map. You went in and actually slept outside.
Yes.
Out of Congress.
Yes. 4 nights and 5 days.
Yeah. So the issue here is AIPAC, of course, is a special category, but it's about money and politics.
Yes, it's the money in politics. And it was primarily funded by Republicans, though. And that's the part that definitely should not be okay. And I don't know why Democrats are not speaking up about this, because whether you like me or not, to say, like, oh, it's okay that this group used mostly Republican money to unseat a Democrat in a deeply Democratic district with someone who also claims to be a Democrat and claims to be a progressive, but that person is someone that will move further to the center or to the right. We should not be okay with that, because why are Republicans deciding the Democratic congressperson? You know, but also the other thing is we need to stop with the people are trying, oh no, it's not an issue about your race. No, absolutely it is about me being a black woman. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And it is because I'm not the only one that's spoken out about ceasefire. And yes, I introduced the resolution. Yes, I did. But there are other people they didn't spend a dime on. But not only that, it's the way they spent the money. Very, distorting my face to make me look subhuman. On mailers, it was, just very, just racist attacks. Not only were there racist attacks, but there were racist attacks that we reached out and said, hey, this is racist. Are you going to allow this? And my opponent was like, it's cool. But the thing is, at the end of the day, if AIPAC was right in what they believe, if they didn't stand on that, not one ad spoke about Israel or Gaza. Not one ad. Not one. But you're running someone against me because of my stance. So it's just very deceptive. But at the end of the day, you all, it's not the end. It's not the end. They're coming for more people, not only on the federal level, but the state and the local level. So we got to keep our eyes open. They're coming to take the people that we want and need in these seats, but also they were sending a message that don't be like Cori, don't be like Jamal. Like you better stand on this side, or else we're going to take you out, or we won't even allow you to get elected.
Well, we have a city council here that we have been lobbying for a long time, and they have refused to budge to call for even a ceasefire. At this point, that's not even an issue, right? We're way beyond that. We want a free Palestine from the river to the sea. That's what we want. But I'm just trying to figure out what is the thing that keeps them from, saying something as simple as ceasefire, because that seems like a fair, wow, that is a big flop. That is a big So the one thing that, and many of them will privately, just whisper in your ears and tell you, we are really for a ceasefire. But I just can't do it. Mm-hmm. How many Congress people can't you said?
So many people have said that to me. There are several members of Congress that have said that to me. Well, I believe this, I believe that, and some have gone as far as saying that I can't speak up, or thank you for what you're doing because I can't. They don't want to be primary like we were, or they don't want to lose the funding that they have. They don't want to lose relationships. They don't want to be in a position to where maybe some business venture that they have. Because let's be clear, Because it's not just about positions in Congress. This is businesses, organizations lose funding. I don't know how many organizations have come to me and to others and told us that, hey, because we stood up for you, we lost funders. Because we spoke out, we lost, so it goes way deeper, but we know that the tentacles are long. Now we see it, but now we have to do something about it. And one thing we can't do is hold our head in the sand and we're like, oh, well, the elections are over, the ones that we really wanted to see, blah, 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 these folks are done. No, we gotta organize hard now so that we're ready in 2 years when they're coming for the next group. We gotta be organized now. We have to, one thing that we need to see, and I really need you all to hear me because this has to happen. One, I don't know if you all saw it, but it's probably around November, December last year, there was a member of Congress who was on television doing an interview, and he spoke to, and I don't remember all of it, but the gist of it was, I've been in Congress, I think he said for 20 years or something like that, and he said out of those 20 years, the AIPAC has knocked on my door 60 times. He said no one speaking up for Palestine has knocked on my door at all. That makes a difference. It makes a difference. And Medea, we know what you all do. We know what OP does.
But Medea's sitting there thinking, what are you talking about? I'm not something Medea's ever said.
That's what he said. But the thing is, it can't just be one. It can't just be one group. We need folks all the time. So we have to have a fundraising structure to be able to do that, so that folks can show up and there has to be. I'm showing up so we can have a talk. Let's talk. I need you to know the same way you would show up about some, an issue of homelessness or an issue of, whatever it is, water or something. Like, let's talk about this. I just want to educate you on this. And like that has to happen because even if it doesn't move anything right now, what does it look like in 10 years if we have knocked on those doors 3 times every year for the next 10 years? That's change.
Well, it happened to be one day we were at the city council and I found a pamphlet or a folder that someone had left from the JCRC, from the Jewish Council. JCRC? What's that? Jewish Council, something. Anyway, but they had it there, and I opened it to see what kind of things they have. Of course, they had the stuff about Israel and Hamas and Gaza and all that stuff, the usual talking points. But they also had stuff about homelessness. They had stuff about policing. They have stuff about healthcare. So it's not just a one-issue thing. So they go when they knock on the door. It's not just talking about one issue. They talk about other issues, and then they bring in, once you create a relationship, then you can bring in other issues into the fold.
Yeah, but that's the deception, though.
Exactly, it is. I mean, their intention is, their first and foremost issue is talking about Israel.
Yes.
But in order to not be just a one-issue campaign, they also talk about other things that are of interest to that particular congressperson. So if the congressperson or the city council member, their focus is on, let's say, education, they're going to come and talk to them about education and help them that, but they'll also throw in the Israel stuff. That's always brought in.
Yes.
But the other stuff is also brought in. Sometimes we need to understand how the dynamics work sometimes, because it's not just enough to just knock on the door when there's a problem, but you have to knock on the door on a regular basis and keep that relationship.
That's right. That's right. And, it's baffling to me, though, that when we knock on doors, we're fighting for everybody. When they knock on doors, and I'm not speaking about JCRC necessarily, I just mean the lobby. Their main purpose is that single issue. And I would love it if, like, what day does it happen where it's You know, we want to protect our own, and we also care about the humanity of Palestinians. When does that happen? Because for us, we're speaking up for everybody. When Rashida Tlaib and I, we had a vigil on the steps of the U.S. Capitol to mourn the lives of the Israelis who are gone, as well as Palestinians. Only a few folks that signed the Ceasefire Now resolution showed up. But just a few days before, there was a vigil to mourn the lives of the Israelis lost, and the steps were full. And for us, we were like, okay, I can show up to this one because we mourn with everyone who mourns. But why is it that you can't show up when we say Palestinian lives? Why is it? Because if you're right and if you care about life, why is it that you can't stand up for Palestinians? So I challenge the pro-Israel lobby. Like, what day is it that you honor and acknowledge the humanity of Palestinians, but we get to see that they don't. We get to see when folks are calling them animals and all of that. And I understand, like, being called an animal, and I know, you know, I know what that feels like, but not in the way that they know, because bombs are not dropping on my families. And so that's why we have to stand up, those of us in this room that are doing this work. We can't let it rest, not for a minute. I think, though, that also you all, you know you're in a history-making moment, right? Like, you know you're in a history-making moment. When the history books, especially if the right people write them, but the history books, when it speaks about this time in 30 years, in 50 years, there are people that those books are going to talk about and have to talk about because of the work. Remember, that's not like some folks that are just like, you know, I don't like some folks that just get to be great. No, it's regular everyday people like us that made a decision to stand up for somebody that we don't even know, that decided to put humanity before our own feelings and our own comfortability. And so just remember that, you know, every single day is a day to make history. And it doesn't mean you have to be on a big stage to do it. You know, how did I save the life of the person next door?
What's your position right now on the Democratic Party? Do you think the Democratic Party is still the party to work within? Or are we at a point where we feel like it's time to move on?
I think it's two things. Because one of the problems that we have is being on the inside. So I am the outside who got inside, who is inside and about to be outside. Yeah. So I have seen some of that power. I've seen how deep it is and how far it goes and how scary it can be for people. So I believe still on an inside-outside strategy while there is building and mobilizing for the alternative. Because yes, have a place for people to go so folks like us, like we have a home. But we also cannot just say, hey, I'm gonna dump this over here and everybody go over here, because the power, that money, that machine will then operate freely in a way to where we wouldn't even know how to move because the inside secrets are there. And so as much as we may be doing all of this work here, and I'm thinking about my activism. Being out there on the streets of Ferguson for those 400 days. Out of 400 days, I might have missed 4 or 5, maybe 6 days, literally. Being out there, it started to feel like throwing pebbles at the ocean. You know, yelling at buildings. That's what it started to feel like. Because even though we were out here doing all of this work and we were like, you know, we were trying to see change, but the people on the inside weren't listening. And so we weren't getting far enough because there was nobody. It was like, you know, these soft pitches coming and nobody there to hit the home run. You know, it's like, wow, I should be knocking this out the park, but I can't because nobody is there. That's the thing about like just everybody saying, okay, we're gonna go. Don't leave them to their own devices because they have some tricks. You know, like the tricks, y'all. So my thing is, we need to send more people to go and make enough noise on the inside while we're building and growing, and then you can pull those folks back. They can help build the other alternative because now that'll be the home for them. So the thing is this, if Squad wasn't in place, if Rashida and I weren't there, or because we wouldn't have gotten elected, like I couldn't have gotten elected as an independent or Green Party in my district, it just wouldn't happen. Because my district is very heavily Democratic. It's just how it is right now. But if we weren't there, there would be no ceasefire resolution. Zero. There would not have been a ceasefire now resolution. In Congress, all of your work comes through your caucus. If you're independent or Green Party or another party, you don't have anybody to caucus with. Your information, like you have no team. You have to do everything by yourself. Like there's nothing. There's no structure. There's no information flowing. There is no help. Nothing. Zero. But being connected to a caucus, you have some type of support. So we have to build that. So build the folks, send them in. And then when it's time, you have a place. But we can't wait. We have to build like heavily now. Like I want a home for my heart. But I know what's on the inside, and you can't leave it alone. Not right now. It's gotta do both. You can't, because the tricks are so deep that it's like being a 2-year-old and you have teachers. Teachers are making these decisions, or adults are making these decisions, and because you don't know what you don't know, decisions are being made. That's what I mean. Do both. Grow the alternative, grow the other parties, make it strong. You know, while we're putting people in to help move those Democrats more and more to the left, and then those folks can move on and have a home because it's enough of them already on the inside.
I think the argument oftentimes comes up that once you're on the inside, something happens to you.
Yeah.
Where you start to sort of shed off those, your humanity in a sense, right? I think, you don't have to answer this, but, AOC has been criticized heavily for her stance of late, that she's been, out there stumping for Harris without asking for anything else as far as Gaza is concerned, certainly not to end the carnage that's happening there. And she's been very outspoken and been very careful about not using the word genocide, not using certain things, and she's seems to be rising in the party. That's very intoxicating for somebody who's young, who wants to rise in the party, who wants to make, like you said, be on the inside. But it seems like as you're moving to the inside, you're being changed. Is it possible to really be on the inside and affect change without changing yourself?
I did. Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing. I didn't change. Rashida Tlaib didn't change. There are others who haven't changed. I think the thing is this. First of all, we got to pay attention to who we are electing. Let me say this. Just because somebody says that they support Medicare for all, Green New Deal, and I want police reform, just because they say the things, that's not enough for us to just jump behind them. This is my candidate. What deep work were they doing before? What was your volunteer work? What did you give your heart to beforehand? Because if you've been in this position before, see, like the thing is this. With me, like I went through Ferguson. I went through people offering money to sit down and shut up. I didn't take the money then. I got my butt kicked out there on the streets of Ferguson. Police took me, threw me up in the air. Oh, I didn't even know I was in the air until I started coming down. I was wondering why, going up, I was wondering why the stars were coming towards my face. I was just talking to the police. I'm like, I'm the nurse helping her. And all of a sudden, I'm like, why am I seeing stars? And then I realized when I was coming down, oh, the ground is coming towards my... So, like, it matters what you did first. It matters who you like folks is coming out the woodwork and, oh yes, I believe this and I believe that and I'll be a good candidate. There may be. But if you have never been tried and tested, if you have never been in a position where a lot of money and influence has come to you and you actually stood on your morals and on your values, if you've never been in a position to where you had to work for it, I remember what it was like to be hungry and only feed my kids. I remember what it was like to have those boots from the police on my head. I remember what it was like to live unhoused out of a car with my 2 babies and hope that nobody died in the middle of the night. I remember what that's like. You can't take that from me. I remember what it was like to have the barrel of a gun at my head. I remember that, and so you can't take that from me. And so there is nothing, everything has been done to me. So I have nothing to lose. Like the thing is, all they did was radicalize me more. And so that's what I do there. So I'm not afraid of them. So it doesn't matter. So I'm going to say yes, but we cannot expect people who are just saying, yes, this sounds good and this is what I want to do. I'm glad of that, yes. But go through the work first. Get tried and tested first. And then those are the folks that we are gung-ho about and we put in because we've already seen. We've seen this lemon tree produce lemons. You know, and there is no surprise. The other thing is this. They start off early. Soon as you get in, money is coming your way. I have $14,000 for you today. I have a trip that you can go on. Do you want the tickets to X? Let me tell you, all of that happened, I think, in my first week or two, and I was like, nope, nope, nope. And I got a call saying, how you turned down $14,000 from this person? I said, yeah, they're war mom, I don't want that money. And you know, people expect though, well, you need money for re-election, you need this, you need that, you need to make relationships, you need, no, I need to take care of my community and my people, and I need those folks who have been marginalized, neglected, and pushed back for so long. I need them to have a voice, and I need them to be first and prioritized. That's the thing. So how much do we listen to these folks? I don't want to hear anybody get up and say, yeah, I stand up for Medicare for all, I believe everybody learn health care. I don't want to hear that. Shut up. What are you doing about it? What have you done? Show me your deep work in something. Yes. So I do believe it can happen. I've seen it work. I've seen it happen. But we got to do our job to make sure we're not just pushing folks up. And it's not right. Yeah. Well, not just leave them hanging, but we should be pushing folks up that are tried and tested.
You mentioned the first week when you get in, people are approaching you. Were you offered to go to Israel?
No. No, that years ago they figured that thing out. Yeah. No, I've been fighting for my Palestinian community for over 10 years, and so I ran on that. I ran on the Free Palestine. I ran on Palestinian liberation. My first race, my second race, and then the race I won. What I was told is, oh well, you lost. You keep losing because of. I said, well then, when it's time for me to win, I'll win. But I'm not changing my values because you think that'll help me win. So no. But I will say this: AIPAC sent word the year that I was elected, and said, they said, we know that you're not going to change your values. We just want you to stop. If you would at least stop talking about it. If you would just be silent about it.
And this is someone that came into your office to talk to you, right?
No, this is someone that called me. They reached someone that I knew. They called and told that person, since that person had my phone number, to let me know. And so they said, and if you don't, you are going to have a tumultuous entrance into Congress. And I said, I had a tumultuous time doing Ferguson, I had a tumultuous time being in the house, I had a tumultuous time, like, well, you don't scare me. And so, no, I've never been, I mean, I haven't been offered the trip since I've been there, no.
Do many others get offered?
Oh, yeah, but this is the thing. The trips are offered to clergy on the local level, to municipal elected officials, state, federal. It's offered widely. It's not just Congress. And yes, when you enter Congress, there is, you're offered the trip from multiple different areas. And if you don't do it at first, at some point, people say yes.
You have a couple more months in Congress, so
Yes.
there's a recess in there somewhere, and they possibly shut down. I don't know if that's happening or not. I guess it's not happening. They're not going to shut down because they still have to fund Israel, so I'm sure they're going to keep it open. But let me ask you this: is there anything you can do between now and January 1st that can have an impact? What is there something that you're planning, or something, you don't have to share everything here, obviously, but is there something that you think that people in this room and others can help you to push forward, like putting things in the congressional record, being able to stand up and talk and doing that?
Absolutely. So that's something that we'll be doing. I'll be definitely putting things into the congressional record. There are some things that I plan to put into the congressional record that I haven't even talked to my staff about that I'm going to do later, right before I leave. But the thing is, and if you heard my speech, my watch night speech after the election was called, I said all they did was cut my strings. That's what they did. And so now, I plan for my.
You said something else.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm saying I'm coming back. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going after the kingdom.
I'm going to
tear down the kingdom.
Yeah. I'm tearing down the kingdom, and they tell you, oh, well, that means you're anti-Semitic. No. What I'm saying is, y'all the ones that spent the millions against me. It's not like J.C. Penney didn't do it. It was y'all. So I'm talking about y'all. If it was Walmart, I would be talking about Walmart. I'm coming for those who came for me. And so if you didn't want that, then you shouldn't have come for me, And so I'm looking at how that happens, though. We have to be smart about how we do that. But yes, I plan on talking about some things that I know folks don't want to hear about, but I'm going to do that. I'm not going to say what it is right now because I want it to be, But I'm going to be pushing out. We gotta, the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, is super important to me because so many of the things that we're fighting for are housed under the Equal Rights Amendment. We need trans rights. We need to end all discrimination against women. We need our reproductive freedom, and so much is housed up under the ERA. Getting gender equality in the Constitution we need to get that done. And I am the lead sponsor of ERA legislation. First time in 100 years a Black woman has ever led on the ERA, and so Ayanna Pressley also has a bill. So I'm going to be pushing that. I'm going to be also pushing reparations. Reparations. I have a bill for that as well. Reparations now. I want to make sure that that's being pushed in Congress. There's not enough talk about reparations to the descendants of enslaved Black folks in this country. This country has a moral and a legal obligation, in my opinion, but definitely a moral obligation for reparations, to pay reparations, as well as to also give us cash, but you also got to fix the things that you broke with redlining and with so many other issues. So the vestiges of slavery, you got to do that. And because the other thing is this: when you talk about what we think, 222 million hours of forced labor. 222 million hours forced labor between 1619 and 1865. What would now be the value of $97 trillion? Nothing has ever been repaid or repaired. The harm is still there. So that's another thing that I'm going to be pushing. The arms embargo. We have to end this funding, going to Israel to bomb people, going to, but not only that, it's not just about the weapons going, because that's part of it, and we have to deal with that. But also, it's what's happening now and what that looks like in 3 years when there are no bombs dropping or whatever. What is the effect? I'm a nurse, so my mind goes here. What's the effect of the white phosphorus long term on those that suffer, exposure? What's the effects of the famine if folks, are still alive? What's the effects on that, the dehydration and all of that? What's the effects, because, once we stop, the genocide, what is the quality of life for Palestinians? And we owe that. But we owe it because we know it. So we owe it to do the work to make them whole as best we can. And the people of Lebanon who are experiencing violence right now. So we're talking about people dying in Lebanon, people dying in Sudan, in Congo, all over. What's happening with our the Uyghur people? What's happening with Yemenis? What's happening? Just all over. And we know about this stuff. The United States has a hand in it, and we are sitting here like it's just this one thing that's a problem. No, it's not. It is a concerted effort by this government to try to police the world, but also because they get money, this is financial. So, and it's at the expense of black people and brown people, and it's at the expense of everybody who is not pretty much a white evangelical. It's at the expense of those who are poor. It's at the expense of those who are vulnerable in so many ways. And so, even though I won't be in Congress, I won't be silenced either.
I have one more question, and then we have 3 people in the audience that are going to be asking a question. So we can have the remote microphone, please, ready in just a minute to use, whoever is doing that. I wanted to ask you, what is the role of the media in all of this? I know we talked about the money, we talked about Congress, we talked about, all the stuff that happens. The media, we were talking to somebody the other day, and they said that if you really want to focus on one particular group or issue, the media is the key, because the Congress tends to react to the media as opposed to the other way around. Can you give us a little bit of insight on that?
Or Congress works the media. There are some who have that influence to work the media as well. So, case in point, there were people who were smiling in my face, but then going to different reporters saying, psst, psst, this happened, or this was said, or this person said this about her. Most of it was lies, but without even talking to me, reporters reported these things. It was just an effort again to try to, discredit me in Congress with my team, with Democrats. But the media, we're in this place with social media where, it's about getting that click, it's about getting that like, it's about what's going to go viral. And it's so sad that now, even, and I have to lift up my sister Rashida Tlaib right now, she is, like, a lot is being said about her. And it's been all over the media the last few days. A reporter said something, and the way that it was interpreted, people went and started to smear her and say that, she said something she didn't say, but it went so far, and so she's getting, harassed and threatened, and, cartoon was, this whole cartoon situation was absolutely just disgusting. The media has a hand in, and I feel this, I don't understand why it's so hard to report the truth. Good or bad, if you report the truth about me, if I did something wrong, like, I'll take that L. I'll own up to my ish. If I did something wrong. But when when it's, well, this sounds good, or this person, maybe it could be true. Like, I think that it's a profession. So be professional. And give the right information to the people, because that's what I thought that was the whole point. The media absolutely can help to destroy someone. And one thing that's been hard for me recently is saying, because I would always say, go research. Don't believe everything that you read, go research. But now it's like, research where? What are we, where do I tell people to go? Because I used to be able to name some, look here, read this. Now I don't know. I was on a stage last night. I was on a stage and I said the very thing, and I was like, wait a minute, where am I telling people to go? That's the issue. The media can do such great things. We need media that is not wrong-souled. We need media that have made the decision, I'm going to walk in integrity and character, and I want to make sure that the information that I put out is fair and unbiased and balanced. And that's not what we have now, and I feel like it's getting more and going more and more, especially since this last year. It is like the wool has been pulled off of so many of our, like, before our faces. Some of these folks that we thought we could listen to.
What's your go-to media? Is it, or, obviously a variety of
yeah.
from different places.
Yeah, but a lot of it is not going to be the big, it's just not anymore. Like somebody even named it, Democracy Now! Is definitely a good one. I love Mehdi Hassan, and now I will watch some, like, MSNBC. There are some folks on MSNBC that I still, like Aiden, Velshi, and Joy. Like, I still, so there are folks that I listen to, a few others, but a lot of the media that I listen to is going to be just independent folks that I know are tried and true. Or it's the person, not the media. It's who they have on, and not the particular, not this outlet.
All right, we're gonna ask Ed Hassan, are you there? Ed, where are you? Oh, there you are. You're kind of stuck in there. It's going to be really hard for you to get to the front. Ed has a podcast called Samud, and it's a very good podcast. He's Palestinian, and he brings some great people on his podcast to talk. I think Ashley is going to give you the microphone there. So hang in there for a second.
Well, I got you. So, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So, as a Palestinian, I wanted to thank you. You stood up for us. You fought for us. I just can't believe everything that you've been through. And I just wanted to thank you so much. What can we do for you now? You're entering your next stage of your life, or the next phase. What can we do for you to support you? Because we're family. You're a Palestinian with me, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, this young Arab guy in my district, he could have been more than 16. I was waiting on some food, and his family was like, "Is there a restaurant, a little family member's restaurant, and he came in and he said, "Auntie, what do you want?" I was like, "Auntie, I'm auntie now." I'm family for real, I'm auntie. So absolutely, we're family. You know, now I need work. Like I'm being for real. Like I need work now because this was not on my bingo card, and you know now I have to think about how I'm going to pay my bills in January. I have to have a sustainable, you know, lifestyle now. I can't go back to nursing. One reason why I can't go back to nursing, you know, one of the biggest reasons is I can't go be someone's nurse because of all of the things. It's too easy for me to have a legal situation. It's just not, it just would not be good. So there are other things. So if anybody in here, like, pass the word, like Cori Bush is in need of work. I think that's one thing. The other thing is I'm going to be starting up something really soon. I'm going to put that information out because I want to help. First of all, I'm setting myself up for another run, whatever that run looks like.
President.
Thank you. Well, that's the thing, because I don't really know what it is right now. I'm going to be working to raise money so that I can be ready, you know, because what I do know is when I do step out, AIPAC is probably going to be ready, you know, and so I have to be able to overcome that. But I want to also help other candidates so that they can be strong in the event that whether it's AIPAC or crypto, you know, whether those folks come after them. So that's the other thing. So once I put it out, I need everybody's help to make this like move. And so, but if you're with an organization, with a university or whatever, like invite me so that I can try to figure out a way to sustain.
You're invited on the podcast anytime you want.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We'll get your information. My team is up here. We'll get you. Yes.
I wanted to call on to Miko Pellin. Are you here, Miko? Where are you?
Right here. Right next to that.
Oh, okay, there you are. Thank you. Miko is an anti-Zionist activist. Has been very outspoken and started an organization called Al-Habriyah, which is about a free Palestine, and they're working on many issues around Palestine.
Thank you, and thanks for being here. Palestine House of Freedom is the place that we established. It's 2 blocks away from the Capitol. So we'd love to have you come by and have a chat.
Okay.
You know, you're a brilliant, courageous black woman. There's no way they were not going to come after you.
There's no word.
There's no way they were not going to come after you. We have a history of almost 100 years of Zionism. What is happening in Palestine right now is no surprise. It's been going on for 100 years. What's happening in American politics and the influence that the Zionist organizations have had is nothing new. I mean, what happened to you was expected. I think we're all devastated. We're all saddened. You lost the elections. All of us are suffering from that, and ultimately people in Palestine and other parts of the world are suffering from that. And so there's a ripple effect of the fact that you are not going back to Congress. And for them, this is the cost of doing business: $14 million, $20 million. I mean, that's what they do. And they're going to do it again. And they're going to do it again. Just like they're going to bomb. It was obvious that they're going to bomb southern Lebanon and do what they're doing. It was obvious that they're going to go in and create this mass murder in Gaza. All of this was completely expected because we have a 100-year history. It seems to me that, you know, and I've been doing this and writing about this and speaking about this for, more than 2 decades, and I'm from there. I'm from Jerusalem. I'm from Palestine. It seems to me we're still stuck in their discourse, in their paradigm. And there seems to be 2 issues. One is that there's an acceptance that we can't beat them because they have the money, they have the influence, and so on. But like you said, they do have the money, and the reason they need to spend so much money is because their entire existence is based on lies. And they have to keep lying, and they have to make sure that there's no room for the truth. because if you poke a hole in their lives, that's it, it's all going to hell, and they know it. I refuse to accept that this is unchangeable. So our motto, the things that we have written down at Palestine House of Freedom, and again, it's 650 Pennsylvania Avenue, Southeast, it's like I said, it's 2 blocks from the Capitol, is we need to figure out a way to circumvent traditional politics by coming up with creative strategies. We don't know what that strategy is yet, but we know what we have and they don't. We have the truth, we have international law, we have the reality on the ground, and that is irrefutable.
Yes.
They will never have that.
Yes.
And I refuse to accept that that's not enough for us to win. So my question is, or it's really an invitation, for you to come to us, to Palestine House of Freedom. We've got a beautiful space there, right on Pennsylvania Avenue, and help us come up with that creative strategy.
I would love to.
And I don't know if there's anything that you want to share right now that might, I mean, this is a long-term kind of a thing, it's a long-term thing to do. But anything you might have to share at this moment with the experience that you've had, because you were on the inside, and now they're making sure that you're not going to be on the inside anymore. But that's priceless experience from somebody from our camp who's been on the inside. So if there's anything that you can share now, it would be great. And again, we'd love to have you come in and sit and talk and figure out the strategy, because I have no doubt that we can win. We just don't know how yet.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I think one thing that we should prioritize is my mind is going back to what I saw and learned during the Ferguson uprising, and it was what catapulted my heart with the Ceasefire Now resolution. Being out there on those streets with the constant tear gas, noise munitions. If you've never experienced noise munitions, dogs, rubber bullets, real bullets, all of the things. To be out there in the midst of all of that, but to have other people there who are not as targeted as you, who are not the ones most directly impacted in the situation. So having our Palestinian community and the delegation from Palestine, but also our local Palestinian American community, having our AAPI community and our Latinx community and LGBT community, everybody out, our Jewish community, everybody out there together, white community, and having them speaking up in a way. Because as Black folks, we were tired. We were burdened differently. We were trying to save our lives, but also trying to live life then. And I remember at one point thinking, like, is this going to make enough of a difference to where my son isn't the next hashtag? He was 14 at the time. But when that group, and some of you all know the story because I always speak to it, a group from Palestine came to the United States, to Missouri, to St. Louis, to Ferguson, and sat. This was a week out from the Michael Brown was killed. And they came to Ferguson and they sat just feet from where Michael Brown's body lay. And they taught us what to do with tear gas. We didn't know, it wasn't the internet, the like information highway it is right now, around protests, tear gas at the time. So we didn't know we were pouring water on ourselves. They taught us what to do. They taught us how to put on gas masks and all of these things. And I just remember at one point I asked, why? Why are you doing this? Like, why are you all putting yourselves at risk? They said, because we understand oppression. And we understand state-sanctioned violence. And we don't want it to happen to anyone else. So we came to teach you. They put themselves in harm's way for us. I asked our Latinx community, you know you can be deported. Some of you, why are you doing this? Standing with you in solidarity. And lastly, on this point, there was this white woman, yay high. She was 4 foot something. We were on the police line, standing directly in front of the police. It was dark outside. And this young man, about 16 years old, young black man, he was saying, FTP, FTP, you know, he was doing the chant. I'm not saying the whole thing, but he was doing the chant. This police officer that he was directly in front of, and that's all he was doing. His hands weren't anywhere near the officer or anything. He was just chanting. The officer at one point just got so disgusted, I guess, with the words that he lifted his baton and was coming down to crack him over the head with it. But as he was coming down, this white woman reached up in the air and grabbed the baton and stopped it. It was so loud that you could hear it. And she just held it in the air. And the officer was stunned. He was just looking like, what is happening? And we were all looking, I was like, what is about to happen? Because I had seen some really horrible things. Friends hung upside down, hog-tied, hanging off of batons, and people beaten unconscious. And we had seen some really horrible things out there. So I'm thinking, what's about to happen? That police officer withdrew that baton and walked away. So that young man was not assaulted that night because somebody stood up that had a different type of privilege. So that's the thing. The part of that strategy has to be that it's not just Palestinians coming together to try to do this. We have black folks right here in this room that I believe would show up. We have the white community, we got our AIPAC community and everybody else that can come together and say, look, like I did with Rashida Tlaib, you are suffering a different kind of burden right now that I know nothing about. So because that's so heavy for you, let me carry a big part of this burden. I don't want to lead you. I don't want to take from you. You tell me how you want me to show up, but we're going to work this thing together. I think that's part of the first part of the strategy is that let's pull everybody together and make this thing move, because just like you said, like we know AIPAC has done this before. They've gotten rid of elected officials before in the past, even 20 years ago. I've heard of this happening with folks, and that this isn't new. What's happening? We think about the Nakba and all of that. We know that this is not new. What's happening? This occupation and all, we know. But the mobilization that has happened on the ground in the United States right now, that is something that we need to grab a hold of. We need to grow it. So I'm just going to say that let that be one of the things that we bring to the table, is how we pull everybody together right now. Because the same folks, those folks stood up for me and my son and my daughter and black folks at large then. And now we're standing up for them. So let's do it together.
I'm going to call on Medea Benjamin. Speaking of small white women.
Was it Medea? Was it Medea? No, that's not Medea.
So, like others here, we are just so indebted to you and your amazing staff.
Yes,
I mean,
the staff.
And raise your hand if you're part of the folks who go around in Congress or have done it with us sometime. So big thanks to those folks. But we know that when we're walking the halls in Congress and having a really hard time, we go to your office so we can breathe. And, you're talking about helping others. Right now, I think our hearts go out to the people in Lebanon.
Yes. Yes.
And seeing what's happening there is so heartbreaking. Even the former CIA director,
Yes.
Leon Panetta, said
Yes.
that the blowing up of those walkie-talkies and, that was a terrorist act. And now we see them having killed probably over 500 people today. Over 500 people. I mean, this is just disgusting. And the U.S. announced that it's sending troops. Now, they didn't tell us how many, and it's probably a small number to start with, but this is how we've gotten into wars in the past. And we already have 40,000 troops in the Middle East. So I feel like this is a moment when we need something in Congress. We've been waiting for Bernie Sanders to introduce this joint resolution of disapproval to say no to the $20 billion in more weapons, and he keeps postponing it and postponing it. We haven't seen it yet. We don't have anything in the House. And I think we could get people to flood the Congress. I mean, this is their last week, but they'll be coming back again. But we need something to say, you can't be sending more weapons, and we don't have a vehicle for that. So is there something that you can do in these last days to give us a letter, a resolution, a something that says you can't drag us into war in Lebanon, because there's something called the War Powers Resolution. We have the wording for the joint resolution of disapproval, let's do it in the House. Or something that's specific to Lebanon to say, stop, we're not going to accept this. You can't send more troops. What you have to do is bring the troops back from the Middle East and end the weapons. Is there something you could do to help us have a vehicle?
There's something that we can do one thing I don't like to do is just do things to be symbolic. I want to do something that can have an effect. So let me work with my staff to see what that thing is, what's the best thing to do, whether it's a bill or a letter or let me talk with some folks and see what's the best thing, because we absolutely can do something. But I want to go as far as I can go fast versus just doing something to make something look good. So let me talk with the team and work on that.
Great, and just to say that tomorrow, the butcher of Gaza, Anthony Blinken, will be testifying in Congress at 10 a.m. And if any of you here, we have a group here that will be there to greet him. But if you want to join us to greet him at 10 a.m. tomorrow, it's Rayburn 2172. We'd love to have you join us. We can get some red paint for you. We put him up behind him. You won't get arrested for the red paint, but come and join us tomorrow if you can. Thank you.
I want to say one thing, and I appreciate. I want to go back to the question. What's his name?
Ed and Miko.
Yeah.
Ed was the first one. Miko was second.
Yeah. Thank you for asking me about what I want to do next and how can people help. One thing I want to say is my staff. I just want to highlight that everything that I've gone through, all of the the attacks and criticism, the media just, for those that have, just dragged me through the mud and all of that. My team went through all of that with me. The death threats, they're the ones answering the phones, or the horrible, just the vile things that people are saying. They're the ones getting the emails. They're the ones seeing it on social media. When we had to evacuate, the day we introduced the Ceasefire Now resolution, the death threats were so bad that we had to evacuate our office in St. Louis and close it down for a full week. I was in DC. My staff in St. Louis were there. I didn't want anyone thinking that they were going to get me coming to the office and they hurt my staff. So we evacuated. I'm saying this because I want to make sure that people around the world know that it's not just me. It's my team, you all. They are just as fierce and just as courageous and knowledgeable, and they are they suffer the same violence. And so I just want to acknowledge them, my chief of staff, we don't do this work alone. Just like I know that you all are here, whether you're part of organizations or individuals, like whatever you do, you don't do this alone. Cole Pink has a whole full team that's just all over the Capitol all the time. You don't do it alone. And so I just want to highlight that. Like, I need every single person in here to know how valuable you are to this movement. Like, you are valuable. This movement moves because you are a part of it. If it was just me and Rashida and Ayanna and all, if it was just us, like, it wouldn't go anywhere. Which is the same thing that happened during Ferguson, which is why, again, I'm going back to that, because I remember we were getting they were tearing us up with tear gas. But when Al Jazeera got hit with tear gas, and then when another group of, it was a group of white journalists got hit with tear gas, then the world woke up and was like, whoa, wait a minute, what's happening? And so just like that, it is like other folks, other folks make other folks pay attention, but it's the people that are around us, you all. And so every single one of you matter to this movement. I need you, the world needs you, Gaza needs you right now. So don't hold back. That's the other thing. Like, we appreciate all that you all have done. You too, Andy, how you have worked. Let me say, you all, Andy, worked so hard for me. And people like me. Andy was like, I got another fundraiser. I got another. Thank you so much for caring and for just being there for me and
it was the best money I spent. It really was.
But that's what we need, you all. We need everybody doing your thing, but we need everybody doing your thing in an excellent way. And so thank you for what you've done already. But you all, this is the time for us to push past what's comfortable even the more. Because yes, you've done that thing 25 times. You can do it in your sleep. That means that it's time for you to move past that thing. Because now it's too easy for you. We need to move into a place where things are uncomfortable, because somebody else should be sitting in that seat you've been holding for all of this time. Somebody else should be there. You should have been getting somebody ready for that seat, because it's time for you to elevate, because the world needs what you have and you ain't holding it back. Move to the next. Move to the next, because we got to grow this thing, because the people of Gaza need it now. The people of Lebanon need it now. The people right here down the street in D.C. need it now. And so I'm preaching this in this room, because no more can we look at all of these folks on these walls and just like, oh my goodness, they're just such great people. They did no, they were you. And so I want to compel you to understand how much power you have and how amazing you are and how the world needs what you have. But we just need you to kick it in gear. We need you to take it. If you needed a sign that I need to do the next thing, if you needed a sign that, let's just move a little bit higher, if you needed a sign to dig deeper inside yourself, this is it. So just do it. Just do it. Don't be afraid of who's going to say what and they're going to think I'm trying to. People are dying while we're waiting to figure it out. People are dying while we're trying to figure out, who should I talk to this person first? Who should I give it? Who should I? No, what you should do is be who you are and come forward. You know, like, you know, I'm a Christian, you know, I believe in Jesus Christ, and Jesus told Lazarus, get up. Come on out. Get up. Get up from the place that you are in the place that you are in. Y'all do this stuff all the time, and yes, y'all do it in an amazing way. I'm looking forward to what's the next highest thing. So you're gonna pull some other folks in, and Medea, you all are gonna just go higher. That's the thing that we need. So everybody in here, this is your call. This is your call to do something different that you haven't done for people that you don't know. Because the time is now. Waiting, somebody dies.
Our Congresswoman Cori Bush.
Oh, yeah.